What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful, rainy day here in Georgia. The sun came up, so I got up. You might not see the sun, but it's definitely there. It's just behind those clouds up there. Just got finished dropping the grandbaby off to daycare. Second day of daycare for my grandbaby. Second day of school at Tiny Footprints. That's the name of the school, Tiny Footprints. So I pray that she has a wonderful day. It's kind of hard when you drop off. Well, you guys with kids know that the babies cry and want to come back. So it's a great feeling. For those of you who remember, I don't have children, so the experience with my godson and my grandbaby is a blessing for me. Because, again, at my age, to have children is almost like the biblical thing. God said that he was going to give you some kids. He said not at my age. So I praise God for my godson and for my grandbaby. Okay, guys. I reverted back to the beginning of Jeremiah. We sat down with the wife this morning and we're starting to study together. We tend to study apart a lot. She studies more than I do, but we study, but we don't study at the same time. So we're getting in a new study habit. So we went back to the beginning of Jeremiah. She found out that I was in Jeremiah, so she took herself to Jeremiah. So now we're in it together. But at the same time, I am studying with KDC Church, and we're reading 70 times 7, which is about forgiveness, and I spoke on that. And I want to say this. Forgiveness does not require an apology. Nowhere does Jesus say to Peter that forgive 70 times 7 when he comes to apologize. So an apology is not needed for forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gift to the giver as well as the receiver. Holding on to grudges is what they speak on when they talk about torture. We torture ourselves by holding on to these grudges that we have. And we don't heal. I can remember an incident when I was in the 6th grade and I had a teacher tell me that I wasn't going to amount to anything, for lack of better words. I've held on to that for all these years, even trying to find that teacher on Facebook, just to in my opinion, which is wrong, prove her that she was wrong. Imagine the space in my heart that has been occupying my heart by holding on to just that little bit. Imagine if I could have replaced that with something else. And that's what we do. We hold on waiting for the person who we felt has wronged us to come and make it right. And that's not a requirement of God. Now, it was put one way yesterday, and I'm not in total agreement as far as forgiveness being a sin. I haven't gotten that clarity yet. But I will say forgiveness, anything that we do that's against God's word can be considered sinful. God requires us to forgive, and we have to forgive unconditionally. To say I'm only going to forgive once somebody has apologized, that is a torturous state of mind, and it is in a torturous state of the heart. So I just want to say, in regards to, as I allow the spirit of forgiveness to enter into my heart, I have to be mindful that nobody who I feel has wronged me should come to me and apologize. Because, again, that's not the requirement that Jesus has put forth to me. I have to openly forgive anyone that I think that has wronged me. I did something the other day. I cooked a meal 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays ago, Sunday before last. I cooked a meal and I sent the meal off. And the people I sent the meal to did not call and say thank you. I cooked the meal after church service because that was my way of trying to forgive the people that have wronged me. And when I didn't get a thank you, that anger, that hate, and that pain just intensified just a little bit more. So, like the example I gave of the teacher that said that I wouldn't amount to anything, that was a little bit of hurt. But I've held on it for 55 years. The people I sent the meal to, that's a lot of pain and hurt that I'm holding on to, and it's new that I've been holding on now for almost 7-8 years. That's taken up a very big part in my heart. So I'm being tortured. I'm putting myself through a torturous state by not forgiving those individuals. So as I go through this period of study and this period of accepting the spirit of forgiveness, I'm going to be able to release that anger, that pain, and that hatred. And I'm going to be able to heal my heart. And remember, Jesus calls for us to forgive from the heart, not just the mind. Because we can say all day long, I forgive you. I can speak the words, oh, I forgive you. That's nonchalant. It's no big deal. But I haven't truly forgiven. And my wife brought up this morning, I forgive you, but I don't forget. But then that's not really forgiving. That is an earthly saying that we say, oh, I forgive you, but I'm never going to forget it. Well, if you won't forget it, then you ain't really forgiving me, because every time you remember it, it's going to cause us pain, which is occupying a part of our heart. So you got to forgive and forget. You have got to let it go. You got to throw it away. You can't keep that stored up. Because if you keep it stored up, what's going to happen is you're going to forgive a person that wronged you. You're going to move on. You're going to meet somebody else. And that somebody else you meet may remind you of the person who hurt you before, which means you're carrying on that old pain, and now you got some new pain. And I was trying to do something to say it like this. It's imagine if you get hit on the arm and the wound heals up. But if somebody hit you in that same spot, a different person, it's going to open it up all over again. So that wound may have healed, but it's always a possibility of a new person coming in and striking you in that same spot and opening up that wound again. Now imagine that wound being your heart. Somebody has hurt you, and when we hurt and feel offended, it hurts our heart. So we're hurt and we're offended, and we need a period of grace, because we talked about the period of grace for healing. But if you carry that around, somebody else may come in and strike that same area of the heart, and it's going to open it right back up. And it's going to bring out all of the stuff that was there before. You've got to heal. You've got to heal. You've got to, the wound, there may be traces of the wound, but you can't carry that same wound around. Because again, there's no guarantee that you won't be struck again, but that's where the forgiveness comes in. You may get struck in that same area and that wound may open up again, but that's where the forgiveness has to come. You've got to have that same mindset where you have to forgive, because forgiving is what heals the wound of the heart. Time will wound the heel of the arm, but forgiveness will heal the wound of the heart. If you hold the anger and you don't forgive and you keep remembering, you say, I'm going to store it, then your heart is not really healed. So when the next person comes and strike you again in that same area of the heart, it's just going to keep gushing out more blood and more blood because it never healed. Forgiveness is the healing process, is what I'm trying to say. I hope I brought that home to you for you guys. Forgiveness is the healing process of the heart. Time and air in ointment and treatment is the healing process of the wound of the arm. But forgiveness is the medicine for the heart. That's the treatment of the heart. So you got to close that wound up, and you can't close that wound up if you forgive and won't forget. So again, as I enter into the spirit of forgiveness, man, I'm learning to heal the wounds of the heart. And again, there's in the medicine or in the treatment for the healing of the heart, apologies are not part of it. So you don't need them. So on that note, guys, we carry on, we move on. I love you. God bless you. Again, beautiful day. We're going to get out here and get some work done. I'll keep bringing the message. And what's happening is God is pacing me and he's placing me where it is I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to be obedient to that. I can get on here every single day and say something, and if it's not of God, then I ain't saying nothing. That's why I said, careful of the counseling. If it's not rooted in God's word, you got to be careful. This is not, man. It's amazing. It's amazing. This is not for likes and confirmation from people. Like in Jeremiah, God said that he's going to send Jeremiah to speak to kings and nations and to prophesy. And Jeremiah said, how can that be when I'm just a child? And God said, when you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. I had sanctified you. He already ordained where he wanted Jeremiah to go and what Jeremiah was supposed to do. All Jeremiah had to do was accept it. He said, don't be worried about the faces of the people that you speak to when they frowned up. And don't be worried about the people that come against you, because they won't be able to harm you. And I take that back to when I say, imagine if that seed was planted in me when I was a child instead of that seed what that teacher said to me. Imagine if that was a seed that was planted in my heart and I carried that seed around. Imagine how much further ahead I would be. Not saying I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but can you imagine having that seed and that placed in your heart? That God telling you that before you was born, he knew you? That's why it's important to make sure you plant those seeds in your children's hearts at an early age, so that when the enemy comes up, no harm can befall them. See, those attacks, that teacher, when she said that to me, that was an attack of the enemy. Not saying that teacher was the enemy, but it was an attack of the enemy. But if your defenses are up, no attack will bother you, and that's what God is telling us. So again, guys, I want to go too deep into something else. So I'm gonna stay in this area, and I'll keep speaking it, and I'll keep bringing that word. And on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.